This is what we will not allow the federal government to do in our counties anymore.
Okay, now stand by. Before let me preface this, if I may,
okay?
Because we're going to launch into this. There is, and you can agree or disagree with this. There is a very specific difference between, and let me just throw some questions at you. Maybe this could be some patriot mythology, if you will. Okay. But is there not a difference between the police, who are basically policy enforcers of codes and regulations, and are corporate under a military structure, a military occupational structure, as opposed to the sheriff, who is an elected official? What's the difference between those two?
Well, you are correct, and the point is that the people of this country choose their sheriff.
Yes,
he is elected.
Elected sheriff.
Except that has been destroyed in Connecticut. The Connecticut legislature got rid of sheriffs. There are no more sheriffs.
Yeah, I'm from Connecticut. I know how.
You only have the state police there. You have police, state, and state police, which I think are kind of one and the same.
So no elected officials whatsoever, no controls over that, because the sheriff was designed in the Constitution to be the highest law enforcement officer on the ground at the local level, which was designed to be the last bulwark against federal or state tyranny. And
that is absolutely correct.
And the minute you get rid of them, and also one other question as well, as I understand it, and we talk about this quite a great deal, that people talk about a, quote, country, when the president doesn't get up and say the state of the country is strong. He says the state of the union is strong, and that all the independent states are, in fact, foreign non-domestic to the federal, to the feds. Therefore, no foreign federal agent from FBI, IRS, name your alphabet agency, is allowed to operate within a county without the express permission of the elected law enforcement official, being the sheriff. Is that true or not?
No, that is true. The sheriff is the only true constitutional republic representative in law enforcement that we have in this country.
Are we being bamboozled by TV, as an example, by the Jack Bauers and the about the Fox Mulders and whatever else, that you have these guys who flash their FBI badges and they say, well, it's our investigation now, Sheriff, and they always make the sheriff look like the idiot because we're the feds and we know what we're talking about.
Of course. Now, we just had one that Arnold Schwarzenegger played a sheriff from a southern Arizona county recently. Yes. I can't remember the name of the movie, but I saw it. He actually stood up for the position of the sheriff. Hollywood did a great job. He was on the phone with the FBI, and he says, look, I don't know you, and I don't report to you. And he hung up on him, and he took care of the situation without him. But if you look back at Tommy Lee Jones and Harrison Ford in The Fugitive, Tommy Lee Jones came in from the federal government, told the sheriff to kind of move over, I'm here, I have jurisdiction, and get out of the way. That's an absolute lie. The sheriff does not move over for anybody unless he just doesn't know any better, and he does it. And that happened in our country during the Waco siege and Ruby Ridge. And we saw what happened when that happened. When the sheriff moves out of the way and lets these hit-and-run law enforcement officers from Washington, D.C., which are just a bunch of bureaucrats trying to enforce policies, then you're going to have trouble. On this document, it's a one-page document.
Yeah, let's go back to your 8 points. You're on point 8.
Before I go to point 8,
yes, sir.
I want to read the two sentences in the paragraph right before those start.
Okay.
Furthermore, we maintain, that means any law enforcement officer, sheriff in particular, that signed on to this, and we are notifying U.S. Congress, and we are notifying the White House, and notifying all federal bureaucracies of this document. Furthermore, we maintain that no agency established by the United States Congress can develop its own policies or regulations which supersede the Bill of Rights or the Constitution, nor does the executive branch have the power to make law, overturn law, or set aside law. Now, we all know why that's in there, but I have been sick and tired when I was sheriff and when I was a cop, and one of the reasons I ran for sheriff was because I was sick and tired of the federal government creating bureaucracies that think they supersede the Bill of Rights, like the FDA, EPA, that they can do random checks. The TSA is another one, of course.
Which stands
Homeland Security is another one.
Touch someone's ass, TSA. By the way, the movie is The Last Stand with Arnold Schwarzenegger. The leader of a drug cartel busts out of a courthouse and speeds to the Mexican border, where the only thing in his path is a sheriff and his inexperienced staff. You shall not pass me. I am Arnold Schwarzenegger. I am the sheriff.
Yeah.
I am playing Sheriff Richard Mack.
But I loved it. It was one of my favorite lines, and I loved the movie just because of that. Hey, FBI, you're not my boss. I don't report to you. And I don't even know you guys, so just stay out of my way. You know?
That's our governor talking. That's Conan the sheriff right there. Okay,
and so this is the policy though that should have happened and kind of came out of that movie, and this should happen nationwide because it will protect the people of this country much better. And this is number 8.
Okay,
this is us saying to the federal government. In fact, after that paragraph I just read, therefore, in order to protect the American people, be it resolved that the following abuses will not be allowed or tolerated. Number 8, and all of them are good, but I love number 8. This will protect the American people, and this needs to happen and go nationwide. Number 8, arrest of citizens or seizure of persons or property without first notifying and obtaining the express consent of the local sheriff. Now, that's just a check and balance that will help everybody. And I'll give you another one. Number 3, I find very particularly interesting, and I'm sure you will too. Number 3, this is again what we will not allow or tolerate. Audits or searches of a citizen's personal affairs or finances without probable cause and due process and constitutionally compliant warrants issued by a local or state jurisdiction. You know, aren't you tired of the government, especially the federal government, pretending that it can just conduct random audits of American citizens and that we can have our financial affairs monitored and looked at and spied upon by anybody in the government at any time they feel like it?
Well, I'm still trying to figure out how they
do it for them.
I'm still trying to figure out how they get away with the 16th Amendment at all, because the 16th Amendment forces you to then violate the 4th Amendment, which is you being secure in your papers and person, et cetera, and then forces you to violate the 5th Amendment, which is to provide evidence against yourself, which can be used against you later on. Then forces you to violate the 13th Amendment, which is, of course, the amendment against involuntary servitude.
Involuntary servitude. I have to work for them for free.
Is forcing you to fill out your own taxes and collect your own taxes and voluntarily comply with whatever else. But we can get into a whole discussion of how they do it, which is basically
all of this.
The contractual law supersedes constitutional law, but that's a whole other thing, because they get you to agree to it, which is. But they say, ooh, there's a benefit in here someplace, because if you agree with us and you go along, we'll give you a benefit. We'll give you the money back that we stole from you. We cut off your arm, but we'll feed you your fingers if you just do what we tell you to do.
Yeah, there's no benefit to anybody on any of that, and the whole thing, again, honestly, is just to take us back to follow the Constitution. And this isn't going to hurt anybody. It is going to maybe unemploy a few federal bureaucrats. But all we say, keep your job for now, but let's start getting rid of some of this through attrition. But this ridiculous pace of the increased power and magnitude of federal bureaucracies is absolutely so ridiculously stupid.
And with that, hold on, ridiculously stupid. We're up against our hard break right here. Sheriff Richard Mack, a true American hero, the last stand, standing between you and the government, because Arnold Schwarzenegger played him in the movie. We'll be right back on Strange Universe with Sheriff Richard Lamb after some stuff.